Alright, hello and welcome. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day so far. I just wanted to stop in real quick and make a video showcasing a bit more of an unconventional Navbar that I created the other day while working on a tutorial for a friend of mine. You can see it right here. Below the page, the page gets split into two different colors, and we have a nice Navbar that follows its slope and made sure to responsive to any screen size within reason. Obviously, layout like this is not going to be great for mobile, but for desktop view, quite nice. Puts the Navbar right in the center, tells people where you want to go, what's there to see. Yeah, quite neat. It's a bit better. It's nicer than just a boring Navbar at the top, I feel like. For those interested, there's going to be a link down below to a GitHub repository that's going to have a step-by-step written guide on what we're doing. If that's something you prefer, that's available to you. For the rest, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it, yeah? This is going to be the example we're going to be creating today. A bit more basic from the styling perspective. Obviously, giving everyone a sorting out point, and then you can customize however you would like. I'll be using VS Code, and I'll create my React app using Vite. So we're going to start out by npm create Vite latest, create a new Vite project, call this Navbar, or package name same. It's a React project, and I'm going to be using JavaScript, but TypeScript, basically the same thing, right? Let's cd there, or npm all the dependencies. This might take a little bit, so I might fast forward through this as fast it goes. But if it takes a bit longer for you, don't worry, perfectly fine. Through and complete. Almost done already. Alright, there we go. Do npm run dev, start our development server. Couple seconds, then we'll control left click, open up the window, and we'll see this beautiful. It's never easy, is it? Alright. So by default, comes with a decent bit of boilerplate, but we'll make quick work of that. Going into the app CSS, we'll get rid of all of this. Need it. And on the index CSS, let's get rid of everything that's not in this very top root section. So bracket 2, save all that. Now our styling's gone, but we still have content on the page. So let's go to our app.jsx and let's get rid of this. Be needing it, using it. Alright, now we have a fresh start. Very first thing we want to do, see, going back and forth between this to make it easier. Alright, we have the background, that's already in place. We'll use the simple HTML background of the website. That will work just fine for us. Now we need this like more of a foreground. So let's create a new div. Give it a class name. Say foreground. And right now it's not gonna anything in it, right? Then let's go over to our CSS and make it so we can actually see something, right? So oops, the class ground. Give this an idea actually. Ground, say background color white smoke, and to make sure it covers the whole page, we'll do a simple hack. Let's say position fixed, top 0, left 0, right 0, and bottom 0. go. Now, save everything. Have white div covering entire page. Now, how do we get that little corner cut out? Use something simple. I love using this website. It's called Clippy. It makes it really easy to create CSS paths. That's what we're going to be using to basically cut out that little corner. So if we go to the right, select the pentagon, max out all the corners, and then these two sliders move around and create that little triangle at the bottom. Pay attention down here to the clip path that's generated. I'm making sure that I have like 20% and 20%, and then these 80% are going to be cut out from the clip path. That's going to be important for later on, so just take note of that. Try to remember whichever values you use here, right? So, go back, go to our app CSS on the foreground, simply add the clip path, and there we go. Very nice. Now, one of the things is I would like to add a shadow here, maybe add a little bit more depth to the website itself. Problem is, it's not easy. Can't use box shadow because it's going to be a box. And the drop shadow is going to be a bit complicated. It doesn't like being easy. So we have to do a little workaround. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to have to wrap this div with another div. Let's just wrap, put this in there. And now go to our CSS, and on this wrap, again, make sure it covers the entire page. Same thing, position fixed. Actually, paste this to save us all some time. And then this wrapper div is actually gonna have our drop shadow filter. So create a filter, say drop shadow. Then I'm just gonna put in EX. Oh, it's bad. Second. Can't use my numpad. I use that for scene switching. My apologies. I'm just gonna copy paste this in here. Drop shadow, or shadow values, and then 50% black color. Now, you save all this. You should see a little shadow appear, but is red, easier to see. Cool, and we run into our first issue. All right, what is happening? Oh, I did the exact same thing. Always check your typing. Crap. Now we have the shadow. You have to call it the right thing. Okay, so let's add the changes back to the black color. Our typo. Crap, and now we have shadow again in this color scheme. A bit minimal, but for those who want to use it, kind of need to use this like little workaround because yeah, CSS likes to be a bit more difficult, right? All right, so now that we have this all set up, let's set up the basic navbar, right? So I'll create nav. We'll make it a UL in here. And then I'm just gonna use normal LIs. Text, have an about section, have an LI for a resume. I'm sorry, I cannot type very well today, but get through it. Project. Let's say the last one is last one contact. Immediately you see color is still set to white, so let's go change that real quick. Before we do that, got all of this part of main element. Got rid of that. So then in our CSS, let's say very top, anything main, color, black. Boom. Now we can see it. Perfect. Have our nav element. Say, give it a class name. And in here, I'm going to be using some rather new features, being nested CSS, but no worries. It just looks a bit different. You can use simple, plain, old school CSS. So, very first thing, I want to target the list. I'll do, well, list style, none. Perfect. And I want to make sure that this is display flex, bit of a gap. There we go. Beautiful. Let's say the LIs, I want them to be a bit bigger. Say font size, rem. Oh, whoops. Should be here. Part of the UL. There we go. Rem. Let's make them bold. Yeah. Font weight. Bold. Go. Now, our navbar is kind of at the top, right? And we want it to be along here. So, very first thing we want to do is you want to anchor it from the top of the page, this bottom corner of the page, where our slope starts. So, very simple way of doing that is taking this navbar that we have, say position, put it to fixed again. This time, bottom 0, aligns it to the bottom, and remember, this click path starts at 20% in the page. So we're just gonna use that. We're gonna say left 20%. Boom. Okay, now it disappeared. Why did it disappear? Simple. It's no longer visible in this div. It starts right here and goes this. We go into our nice inspect, we'll see there's our UL element, the navbar and everything. Very simple fix for this. Actually, come back to that. Yeah, come back to that. We're gonna do it in here. We're gonna do it in our HTML. We're gonna say style. We're gonna do transform. This transform, we're going to have translate. We're gonna translate -50% on the X. So now our anchor point will shift the bottom left corner of the UL to the center. And we're gonna do 50% on the Y. So now it's dead center on that UL, hopefully. Yep. See, our navbar kind of lines up center on that little corner. That's perfect. Exactly what we want. But how do we get the angle? There's a very simple function, or well, not a function, but very simple equation to get the angle of the slope. All we need is the run, so the width, and the rise, the height of that triangle. Using that and some simple math, we can figure out what angle the slope's going to be at. So, let's start out by creating state for our slope angle. Oh. State, I'm gonna start out at 0, and then I'm gonna use a use effect, just quick and dirty on that runs on page load. And apologies, my keyboard's off with awkward space, but on our use effect, all we're gonna do is run this calculation for getting the slope angle. So, first off, let's get the run. The run is gonna be equal to our window dot inner width, and now important again, this is our whole width, but we want only the section that the triangle takes. Again, our triangle, the clip path starts here at 20%, so 80% is left. So we're just gonna simply multiply this by 0.8, and that's gonna be this part of the page. That's what we're looking for. And then we're just gonna simply do the same thing. Price window dot, this time using inner height, and same thing, our height, we have it starting at 20%. So same thing, we're gonna multiply by 0.8. We're gonna have the rise. Now all we have to do is do calculation. We do set slope angle, and we're gonna use math.e10. This function takes the inverse tangent, and we want the inverse tangent of rise divided by run. Now, if you run this, we're not gonna get anything interesting. We're gonna get some random number that we can't really work with, because we need to do some more calculation. So I'm gonna wrap this in another set of brackets, and we're gonna multiply this by 180. And the result of this is gonna get divided by pi. So we use math, pi, get pi. And now this simple equation, apologies, this simple equation is gonna result in an angle in degrees that we can use to set the rotation. So we set the rotation, very simple. Come to our transform variable style section down here, and we add rotate. If we rotate into the negative direction, we're gonna put in our angle, and important, we add that it's in degrees. And now you see it rotated, right? So kind of hard to see because of how it gets anchored, right? Very simple fix for this. Go to our UL. In here, add another transform, translate. We're gonna say 0%, say 100%. Oops, negative font. Okay, but it's still kind of off the page. Fix this. You could use this transform, but I like to give it a margin left, and I like using the height of the window for this. Let's say we're gonna use 60% of the viewport height. There we go. Now we can see everything. Now the only problem is that whenever the window resizes, it doesn't line up anymore. Real simple hack for that. Go back to our use effect, and at the end, we'll add event listener. We'll listen to the resize event, and we'll run a update slope angle function. All this function needs to do, the exact same as our use effect. So, update slope angle, let's const update angle, doesn't need any inputs. It's simply gonna do this exact same thing. So now, that should be it. See? Beautiful, right? You can play around with this a little bit. Again, a very basic setup. And later, you can play around with how you position this text. For example, I like using the height, but you could use the width, and it gives you like a different effect. In this case, not really what we're looking for. Also changed the wrong thing, but yeah, see, will slightly behave slightly differently, but that's pretty much it. That's how I ended up creating this more unconventional Navbar. And yeah, hope it helps. Hope people have learned something, and see you all again at some point. Nice day.